Welcome to Epic Travel, where history comes alive each week. We'll dive into the remarkable stories and events that have shaped our world. From ancient civilizations to modern revolutions, we'll explore the triumphs, struggles, and mysteries of the past. Whether you're a history buff or just curious, there's something here for everyone. Join me on this adventure through time. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss an episode. Let's uncover the past together. Today, here's a complete overview of the history and development of Washington, D.C., from its founding to its modern significance. This could serve as a foundational structure for a documentary. George Washington's role. President Washington chose the exact site for the city, spanning parts of Maryland and Virginia. Pierre Charles L'Enfant's plan. The French-American architect designed the city with grand avenues, open spaces, and key landmarks inspired by Paris and Versailles. Construction begins. Workers, including enslaved people, began building key structures like the Capitol and the White House. Federal government relocation, 1800. The government moved to the new city, but Washington, D.C. was initially small and underdeveloped. War of 1812. British troops burned key buildings in 1814, including the White House and Capitol. Rebuilding and expansion. By mid-century, the city grew as a center of politics, though it remained underdeveloped compared to other major U.S. cities. Military hub. Washington became a crucial military and strategic location for the Union. Population boom. Soldiers, government workers, and formerly enslaved individuals moved to the city. Legacy of emancipation. The city played a pivotal role in the abolitionist movement and became a hub for African American culture. Monuments and memorials. Iconic structures like the Lincoln Memorial, 1922, and Jefferson Memorial, 1943, were built. New Deal era. Massive public works projects under President Franklin D. Roosevelt modernized the city. Civil rights movement. The 1963 March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. delivered his "I Have a Dream" speech, cemented D.C.'s role in the struggle for equality. Tourist destination, known for its museums, e.g. Smithsonian Institution, and iconic landmarks like the National Mall. Economic growth. The city transformed into a hub for technology, education, and international affairs. Statehood movement. Ongoing debates focus on granting statehood or greater representation to its residents. Cultural renaissance. Modern-day D.C. thrives with a mix of historic charm, diverse communities, and innovative arts. In recent years, Washington, D.C.'s GDP has exceeded $150 billion, making it one of the most significant metropolitan economies in the U.S., despite its small geographic size. The Washington metropolitan area, including parts of Maryland, Virginia, and West Virginia, has a much larger GDP, exceeding $500 billion, ranking among the top metropolitan economies globally. Federal government. A major employer, the federal government accounts for approximately 25 to 30% of the city's economy. Agencies like the Department of Defense, Department of State, and Congress significantly influence economic activity. Professional services, law firms, lobbyists, and consultants thrive due to the city's political environment. Tourism and hospitality. Over 20 million visitors annually contribute billions to the economy through spending on hotels, restaurants, and cultural attractions. Education and research. Prestigious institutions like Georgetown University and George Washington University are key contributors. Technology sector. The city is increasingly becoming a hub for startups and technology companies, supported by federal contracts and innovation hubs. As of 2023, Washington, D.C. has an estimated population of 700,000 to 720,000 residents. The population peaked in the 1950s at around 800,000, but declined for several decades before rebounding in the 2000s due to urban renewal and economic growth. Daytime population. Due to the large influx of commuters, the city's daytime population swells to over 1 million, with workers coming from neighboring Maryland and Virginia. Population density: Washington, D.C. is one of the most densely populated areas in the U.S., with approximately 11,000 residents per square mile. African American: around 45%. Historically, Washington has been a cultural and political hub for African Americans, earning it the nickname Chocolate City. White, non-Hispanic: approximately 40%, a growing percentage due to recent demographic shifts and gentrification. Hispanic, Latino: about 11%, representing a diverse group, including people from Central and South America. Asian: roughly 5%, with growing communities from East and South Asia. Multiracial, other: approximately 4%. Median age: around 34 years, reflecting a mix of young professionals, students, and government workers. Notable groups: a significant population of young professionals, retirees, and families. Languages: English is the predominant language. Spanish is the second most common, spoken by about 10% of residents. Other languages include French, Amharic, Chinese, and Vietnamese, reflecting the city's diverse immigrant communities. Urban development, economic opportunities, and improved infrastructure have driven population growth since the early 2000s. Rising housing costs, gentrification, and displacement of longtime residents, particularly in historic African American neighborhoods. Washington, D.C. has a well-planned and historically significant transportation system that combines roads, railways, and transit networks. Its design is a blend of 18th-century plans and modern urban development, reflecting the city's role as a federal and cultural hub. Pennsylvania Avenue connects the White House to the U.S. Capitol. Constitution and Independence Avenues flank the National Mall. K Street, known for housing major lobbying firms and businesses, over the Potomac River, includes Key Bridge, Memorial Bridge, and Theodore Roosevelt Bridge. Over the Anacostia River includes Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge and 11th Street Bridge. Opened in 1907, Union Station is one of the busiest transportation hubs in the U.S. Services include Amtrak National Rail Service with connections to major cities, MARC Train, commuter rail service to Maryland, Virginia Railway Express, VRE, commuter rail to Northern Virginia, Amtrak routes, Northeast Corridor, high-speed trains, e.g. Acela Express, connect D.C. to New York City and Boston, long-distance trains, routes to Chicago, Atlanta, New Orleans, and more. Bike and pedestrian paths, over 100 miles of bike lanes and trails, including the Capitol Crescent Trail and Anacostia Riverwalk Trail. Capitol Bike Share, a bike-sharing system with over 600 stations. B Bus System, Metrobus, operates over 300 routes in D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. D.C. Circulator provides easy, low-cost transportation around key tourist and business districts. Washington, D.C. has been home to numerous famous personalities across various fields, from politics and civil rights to arts, culture, and sports. Here's a list of notable figures associated with the city. Political leaders: George Washington, 1732–1799. The city's namesake and the first President of the United States. Although he never lived in D.C., his influence shaped its founding. John Adams, 1735–1826. The first U.S. president to reside in the White House. Barack Obama, born 1961. The 44th U.S. president, who made history as the first African American to hold the office. He and his family remain closely associated with D.C. life post-presidency. Edward R. Murrow, 1908–1965, renowned journalist and news anchor who reported from D.C. during pivotal moments in U.S. history. Maya Angelou, 1928–2014, celebrated poet and author who lived in D.C. during her formative years. John Thompson, Jr., 1941–2020, legendary Georgetown University basketball coach who paved the way for African American coaches in collegiate sports. Kevin Durant, born 1988, NBA superstar and D.C. native, known for his philanthropic contributions to the city. Michelle Obama, born 1964, former First Lady, advocate for education and health, and author of the best-selling memoir, Becoming. Kamala Harris, born 1964, the 49th Vice President of the United States, breaking barriers as the first woman and first person of South Asian and African descent in the role. Thanks for joining me on this journey through history. I hope you enjoyed exploring Washington, D.C. Don't forget to check out our next episode where we'll uncover brief tease about the next topic. It's one you won't want to miss. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your fellow history enthusiasts. Your support helps us grow and brings more amazing stories to life. And remember, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you'll always be updated with our latest episodes. Until next time, keep exploring the past and stay curious.